Hello and welcome to the Soulful Valley podcast. If you're a regular listener, thank you for listening and supporting this podcast. If you're new here and don't know me yet, I'm your host, Carey, independent publisher of books that matter and an international best-selling author, and of course, the host of this globally ranked podcast. I help metaphysical coaches and healers gain confidence, clarity, raise their visibility and their credibility, giving them the opportunity to shine their light brighter so that the people they are here to serve can find them. I do this by creating opportunities for them to become best-selling authors in my multi-author and solo book projects. I also offer one-to-one mentorship services to help spiritual business owners find and unlock their limiting beliefs. In this podcast, I'll be sharing wisdom from myself, coaches, authors and energy healers that could be just what you need to transform your life today. You can connect with me via the Contact Katie button at my website at www.soulfulvalley.com.
You gotta love yourself with all your heart. If you don't already, it's time to start. 'Cause nothing's gonna work out until you do.
Hello! We have some exciting news for you about becoming the manifesting diva. In our current series, we're thrilled to host some of the amazing contributing authors from our book collaboration, Becoming the Manifesting Diva, Creating Ripples While You Flow, with 13 inspiring stories and a foreword by the renowned Dr. Joe Vitale. This book is set to launch worldwide on September the 17th. For a limited time, you can grab your copy for less than £1 on Amazon, helping us support our incredible authors on their journey to become international best-selling authors. All we ask in return is that you leave an Amazon review. We have some opportunities to collaborate with us too. Calling All Poets. We're in the process of creating our third Soulful Poems book in our Amazon #1 international best-selling book series. If you're a poet or you channel wisdom that could be poetry in disguise, we invite you to submit your work via our application form in the show notes. We have another opportunity, Evolving on Purpose, the book series. We are also excited to announce our third book in this series, titled Evolving on Purpose, Akashic Journeying to Wealth Consciousness. This is not just a book, it's a spiritual growth journey for both the authors and its readers. If you're an Akashic Records expert, this opportunity is tailor-made for you. And we also have some healing offers. Explore my range of meditations and guided healing sessions designed to help clear your money wounds and blocks. Plus, don't miss out on our Akashic Co-Creation activation to unlock your creativity. All these offerings are available on my Pensite page, along with our monthly free workshops. Again, you can find this information and the links in our show notes. If you would love a VIP service with a more personalised experience, connect with me through my website for a bespoke offer where I will support you holistically in overcoming challenges in your life and business. Remember, everything is interconnected. Links to applications and more details can be found in the show notes. Thank you for your support and let's create ripples together. And finally, if you've already read any of our books on Amazon or you're a listener on this podcast, please also leave us an Amazon review and follow and review this podcast to help us spread our important messages and help more people find solutions and help themselves. And now, let's get back to the episode you came here to listen to. Hello, and welcome to the Soulful Valley podcast, Dina.
Hello, Carey. Oh, Katie.
Hello, Dina. Today, we've got a few of our authors here from your book, I'm So Glad You Left Me. And could you just share a bit about how this book came about?
Sure, it's actually a very interesting story, and it is about my story in the book as well. And I thought, when the title first came to me, it was just after, or a while after, my husband passed away. So I thought it was about him leaving me, because we were married for 40 years, very happily. And then he had a freak accident and a short illness, and then he passed away. So, and there's a lot to tell here, because why I see this as a divine loss, and rather as a divine intervention, that he left for me so that I can fulfill my soul contract. Because with him being alive and around me, I would never do that. I would never leave him to go and pursue my own dreams and, where life would take me to do that. And also that I believe that we were a split soul. We were told that by a numerologist many years ago. And I believe that it was in our soul contract that he would actually leave, so that I can fulfill our task here in this life.
Wow, that's such an incredible share. I wasn't expecting that, because I don't know what your chapter is about yet. So what was the timeline for these events happening before the title came in for this book?
Well, the title came in quite a few months after he passed away, and that's why I say, I thought it was about that. It was about loss. So eventually, first of all, I thought it was about loss of relationships, about death, divorce, breakup, that kind of thing, of a romantic relationship. And then I started to get these other ideas. So no, it's not just about that. Maybe it's about a friendship, a loss of a friendship, or even a family relationship. And then it wasn't even about that anymore. It was about the loss of my previous self. It was about leaving behind a previous version of me that I have transcended. And so we have a diversity of stories from addiction to divorce and breakup and death and everything in between. And if you think about it, in every loss that we experience, that we transcend, it is actually a version of ourselves that we leave behind as we transitioned into a new identity to live a new reality. So it blew the book wide open, and it's just such a fun project. And I think it's a surprise. It's like a name with a twist, or a name with an attitude, and then there's a twist in the title, because you expect just drama of loss and leaving and divorce and breakup, and it's actually not about that. It's really about the courage and the self-love and the personal growth of every person, of every story.
And I felt that so powerfully as well, because my story, I'm So Glad You Left Me, is about an old version of me. So although I've had as well 2 marriages end in divorce, and I didn't get back to myself and my goals and dreams until after the second divorce. It was immediately. It was actually during the end of the second divorce that I started the podcast, and then I changed my name, and then I started writing in books. So I felt that there was a multitude of things that I could write about in a book like this. But I think I felt totally aligned with you, and the fact that it was about me.
Yeah,
not about
you.
So Dina, you've got 88 authors in this book.
Crazy idea. When I thought about it at first, I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. But it's no mean task, as they say. But what a fun project. And you know what? I met as usual, I've met the most incredible woman. Really, that I read the
and that is
stories.
that's what it's about, isn't it? The connections that we make in these collaborations are amazing.
The connections, and it feels like every with everyone I connect to their heart, I can see their soul as they write, and I think to myself, oh my gosh, girl, I'm with you. I feel you. I don't know how you got through that. I don't know how I would have gotten through this. So I think as we incarnate, we pick our battles, and we actually astound ourselves onto what we can actually endure and what we can transcend and what we can get over, especially once we make the damn decision. Say, this is it.
Oh, yes.
Now
Decisions.
this changes.
A lot of people have trouble making decisions and get stuck, don't they, in indecisiveness. But things happen when you make a decision and you put it out there loud. So, Dina, where in the world are you?
I'm in Cape Town, South Africa.
Wonderful.
Right here at the southern tip of Africa.
And where else in the world are our authors?
Oh, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. I know there's about 5 or 7 people in the UK, and Suli is here representing them. And then we have another 5 or 7 people in New Zealand, Australia, and Vida is here representing them. And of course, you also representing the UK, Katie, and we have people in Europe. And then all the rest, of course, is in the US and Canada. Always the most of the authors are from there.
Wonderful. So we're going to have a really exciting launch on this one.
Very, very exciting.
What else, apart from publishing books, then, Dina, do you do?
Well, I'm also a quantum alignment and human design coach. So my passion is manifesting. I've always been fascinated by that. And since I started my coaching career, coming away from IT, I went into coaching, NLP. And since then, it was a love affair from the start. And I've earned many qualifications and certifications, etc., etc. But my passion has always been manifesting, alignment, vibration, and the absolute power that we have, that we actually waste.
Yeah.
The more and more I become aware of it, the more and more I realize, I become aware now of the damn mind chatter and think, what a waste. To channel my thoughts into something that is beautiful and productive. And, it's those things that many people are not aware of. And the reason why this is so important to me, Katie, is that I've seen now with this book and with many of my books that us coaches and light workers and healers, and we have such big dreams. We have such huge visions, but as if we are just not getting there to manifest them. We are just not there. There are so many who want to do another book, but they can't afford it, or they want to do this project, or they have this vision, but they just can't get there, or they stuck in a job because they can't get out of it. They can't just make that transition. And I really believe that even though we are coaches, and even though we are healers and light workers, and even though we seem on social media and everywhere that we look successful, we look accomplished, and we are capable, we are great, but we need support. We need support to practice our alignment so that we can actually start manifesting. So
I think there's a big thing missing as well, of a sense of being able to trust yourself. Because many times on this journey, I've not had the money to do the things, but I've trusted myself so deeply. I've said yes, and then every single time the path has opened up, and one thing after another has led to me doing the thing, which in the beginning I was if I'd have looked at the reality of my bank account and been in that mindset of, or letting my mind lead, I wouldn't have done any of the things that I've done in the last 4 years. So it's about really cracking yourself wide open and deeply trusting, isn't it? And then
not easy.
A path opens up that you just wouldn't even think that you could manifest.
Yeah.
No, it isn't.
Right.
It isn't easy. It takes a lot of strength to do the jump. I've jumped off a cliff so many times without a net.
The great thing is in doing that a lot, we get used to it. But it's not easy, I know. I'm talking from personal experience as well.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to share about this collaboration, Dina, before we move on to speak to some of the other authors that are here today?
No, I think I've said everything. Yeah, I think that's enough about me.
And we're launching I'm So Glad You Left Me on the 4th of October. It will be on Amazon around the world. So Dina, I'll leave it with you to introduce our next author.
All right, so let me introduce Suli. So Suli Yates is from the UK, and Suli is an advanced channel and a spiritual mentor. And she is one with the softest heart I've ever met. Suli, over to you.
Oh, bless you. Oh, I've just loved listening to the two of you. And Katie, that having to trust is exactly where I am at the moment. So I'm still trusting, and I've made that step forward in another project that I'm doing at the moment. But I'm living in the UK, a fellow Brit. It's lovely to hear a Brit accent. And my chapter is, interestingly enough, about my brother passing, what happened when my brother passed. And hearing your story as well, Dina, my goodness, that really moves me. But I resonate with it 100%. Because out of something that was tragic, really, because it was way before his time, it created a catalyst where I suddenly was freed from a whole weight of gunk. You know, there was an undertow throughout my whole childhood, which was centered around him and addiction. And all of a sudden we were freed from that. So there was the on the one hand, we were all feeling really guilty because we were relieved in a way, which was tragic. But there was such a sense of freedom, and that he was freed as well, that he was finding his own peace. But it's my story of what happened afterwards, after that release and after that sense of freedom. And again, just like you said, Dina, I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing today if he hadn't passed. And the timing of it with my boy being so young, being a baby, I think how he would have affected my son as well, still being around. It didn't happen. It was divinely timed. And so, so my story was very much about the release and the growth and healing that resulted in his leaving and his passing. But I did start with a relationship. And then my brother passing came right through. It was almost like it shouted at me, no, this is what you need to share. This is what you need to share. So that's my story. And from that healing, it's brought me to where I am now, where I consciously opened a channel nearly 30 years ago and was practicing under the radar with my light buddy, digging the garden, as we all were, the light workers who were working way back when, preparing the ground for what's happening now, and how the light workers around all now gathering and everybody's awakening. And now I help others on their spiritual path of awakening, with channeling being the core of what I do. And it's amazing to see how the being of light that comes through, Violemus tends to come through, and also I work with the guardians of nature, how they transform and how I trust what comes through. And it's taken me years and years and years and years of discerning when it was ego and when it was a being of light, to the degree now when I trust implicitly that the information that comes through is going to be exactly what that individual or individuals need at that moment, and it always is. So I'm really grateful for Dina, and I was in her book Success with Source, where I got the bug. Where I got the bug. It was such a powerful cathartic experience, and it's given me that bug and that draw, that compulsion to have to write. And so yeah, I'm loving the fact that I'm a part of this book, although it was very hard for me to condense it, as Tina would tell you. I did it in the end, and it was a really wonderful process. I loved it, actually. Yeah. So, and I'm really looking forward to reading everybody's stories. What an amazing, inspiring bunch of people. So, thank you, Dina. Yeah, wonderful.
Thanks, Suli. And I just want to say as well, your story really resonates with me. We always end up, don't we, with people who have been through so many similar experiences. But I've had a father pass away from addiction when he was only 48 and I was in my 20s. My first child was about 1 year old. So I was obviously distressed that he died, but on the other side of that, so glad that my children didn't have to know him or grow up with him around them. And then I had the same thing happen again in my second marriage. I was married to an addict. So the freedom that I had with that divorce to then be myself and not be focused on the addiction, which was a double trigger for me, because I'd already watched my father die of that, and here I had a husband going through the same thing. So I totally relate with your story as well. Thank you so much for sharing here on the podcast. Is there anything else you'd like to say while you're here?
I'm just blown away by synchronicities at the moment.
I love them.
Everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And that's just incredible. You know, a parallel with the story there is just amazing. Yeah, no, so thank you, Katie, as well. Thank you for producing this podcast where we can share and bring this amazing book with amazing, inspiring women out to the world. Yeah, I feel the energy of it, and it's extraordinary, really extraordinary. So thank you.
I also feel that the passion as well to keep writing, because this is my 9th book that I'll have written in. I've got number 10 coming out next month. I've just jumped into another one for early next year. So I'm just going to keep on doing this. I love it.
Love it. Yeah, brilliant.
Dina, would you like to introduce our next author?
Sure. I would like to introduce Vida. Vida, is that okay? You can speak now with your little one. That's fine. We love children around us. So Vida is in Australia, and she is a purpose cultivator, and she's a spiritual transformation coach. Over to you, Vida.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So as Dina said, I'm Vida, and I'll introduce my little one since she's here. This is Xavier, who likes to join me on a lot of my adventures. So as Dina said, I'm a purpose cultivator and transformational coach, and I have been a working psychic medium and energy healer for over 20 years now. And I guess what drew me into writing chapter 4, I'm so glad you left me, is a couple of years ago I made the decision to leave my marriage, and in that process the relationship got quite toxic and emotionally abusive, and very shortly, as in very, very shortly after, I found myself in a connection with another man, which, as it turned out, was liberating after a very unhealthy marriage, but also, maybe I need to be quiet, sweetie, also very unreciprocated. So while I was working my way through the separation process, I also found myself having to deal with the heartbreak of the other connection collapsing around me, and finding there was also elements of manipulation, which wasn't a very healthy space to be in. And through that process, I found myself breaking down, but having to address how to work through patterns of emotional abuse, even verbal abuse, and recognizing there's been a pattern all my life that links back to my dad from when I was growing up. And part of a transformation was breaking down, feeling like you're shattered into a million pieces and having to rebuild yourself entirely, or myself entirely, to become a new version of me that I didn't know. And that was holding the boundaries. And instead of sinking into victim mentality, what is it that you want to bring or create into the world? And that was the guidance I kept receiving. So as a result, I started working with a collective group of beings. They call themselves the Council of Goddesses. And I'm going to say there's some kick-ass goddesses in there, because they were ones who stood up and said, no more, this ends here, these cycles end here. And that's what I brought with me, is being able to step out and go, I can actually do this on my own. Having the courage to step forward and let go of what no longer worked or served, where you're compromising yourself and not choosing yourself, where you're not a priority and you're making yourself a priority, and taking that ownership and really creating the life that you deserve and want for yourself and for your family. And this is now what I bring into my work as well, predominantly with other women as well, where I find getting stuck in those cycles where they're not chosen, they're not a priority, they don't know how to choose themselves, they're overgiving. Many of them are mothers, because we overgive as mothers as well. Being able to claim your life back and find that balance of, you actually have a space and you can be strong and powerful and gentle all at the same time.
That's a beautiful share. Thank you, Vida. Again, so many parallels with your story, going back to your father and the relationships with my first marriage. I jumped before I'd even divorced my first husband. I literally got engaged the week after my divorce came through to my next husband, one to the other, and there was so much emotional abuse in all of that as well. The podcast, the theme tune is You've Got to Love Yourself, because I went into a self-love journey for 2 years, deciding to not date anybody and not be in a relationship, because I needed to change those patterns of 50 odd years that I'd created in relationships. And they weren't just happening in relationships romantically, they were happening in relationships in the workplace as well. So yeah, totally resonate, and love the circle of goddesses. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I find that it's usually across the board, isn't it, where you see these patterns, and
yeah,
it is about coming back to yourself and being very honest with yourself and really taking ownership of your choices and decisions that got you there, and allowing yourself to break so you can rebuild into.
And it is during motherhood as well that we forget about ourselves, don't we? We prioritize the children, the men, and that's how it happened with me as well. Totally forgot about me and who I was. Yes. Yeah, I love that, Vida. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Dina, do you want to introduce our next author?
Yes, with pleasure. I would like to introduce to you Juliana. Juliana goes by the name of Mystic J. Rose. And she is a spiritual teacher, holistic coach, and a channel. Over to you, Juliana.
Hello, everyone. Such amazing stories. I just have to, I just need to take a breath with that first. And so where I stand right now comes from 25 years of deep diving into my own work of uncovering who I truly am. And what I came to be was at the core, was seeing myself as a very old soul who has come here to volunteer to help this great awakening with whatever that means. And all of us have, great journeys in that. What I decided to write about in this book is my own mystic medicine. And what that means for me is all my life, I felt like I really wanted to come out of the closet but I was always shunned. And, oh, that powers, that's not real, that's fantasy, that, you must have gotten that from the movies, or, um, I was really felt lied to, like, I couldn't really be myself. So, 25 years ago, even though I had 2 college degrees, I had, all these things going for me, I still felt like something was really, really missing inside of me. And, I was a Pilates instructor, about ready to head up onto that channel, and, a dancer in the background. And I saw a lot of trauma, and turbulence along the way in my family. My family life was very turbulent, and I felt very alone, very alone. So, this is what this is about. This chapter is about how I came through these life experiences and stood in my power and said, no more. I've got to be me. I've just got to be me, or else I'm going to die. So that's what I did. I started to uncover and unravel and be that true seeker, do my soul's research. What resonates with me? What do I need to choose? And start breaking apart all the things that didn't make sense, all the illusions, all the lack of trust, that I was seeing. And I dove so deep inside, so deep. It was like I was pulling out all the old parts of me, like an old car, and then rebuilding it with, like a new engine, a super engine. And it was so freeing to write this chapter, because I mean, I can't even tell you, it just like came together within hours. I was like, that's it? That's what you want me to write about? This mystic medicine that I'm uncovering, that's the chapter. I could have been writing about, the abuse, or something else, but this is what my soul was called to write about. And I've been waiting about 10 years to write. I threw out several different scripts, and this was the one that was like, okay, this is how you're going to enter the field of writing. This is the portal. Take it on and let it transform you, and just flow with it. And like Vida, she has, I'm sure all of us have, a slew of background tribe, supporting you. And I just kept discovering so many different spirit guides that were coming forth to help me do this. So I'm so grateful. It's a very emotional. I'm an empath, I'm a channel, I'm a psychic. I can see beyond this world into other worlds, and tap into, what, this world is really, really calling to be. And that's where I come in. I'm helping to relieve some of those sufferings really easily, because it's very easy for me to transform. I had a psychic once tell me she had a double pineal, and in astrology, and she helps other starseed wanderers, help their souls evolve. And she said to me that it's very easy for you to just go into a room and clear the dust bunnies. All you have to do is walk around and sit down, and that's it. You're done. And you might have to sit there for an hour just for people to really feel it, but within just a few seconds you're able to just bring it forth. So I really feel that my soul came into this body at this time to bring the quantum leap, into it. And so being with Dina has been such a pleasure. I mean, amazing. I said yes immediately, and I'm not the type of person to do that. I usually, like pull back a little bit and like, let me think about it, that type of thing. This was like, yes, right away. I knew I had to be a part of this project with all these beautiful souls. So I'm so grateful for being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Juliana. That was a beautiful share. And your story there of how healing and cathartic the writing process is. But when it's in a book like this as well, where clearly most people are channeling from the soul what it is that they're supposed to bring to this collaboration. And it's just so beautiful. It's I felt it. I don't even know how I ended up connected with Dina. I don't know where she came from. But I know as soon as I came across her, as soon as she asked me, it was a yes without even having to think about it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, totally get that. I think everybody's spoken now, haven't they? I can't see all of my screen. I think everybody's spoken. Dina, do you want to finish up with anything?
I just want to say that as a publisher, and I have the privilege to read all these stories. And before I started publishing, doing the coaching was really amazing. But I've never had so much fun in my business since I started the publishing. Every day is new, it's different, never a dull moment. And it just gives me the deepest joy to read the stories, to give them honest feedback, and starting it and being totally surprised at myself for having this natural talent to read the stories and know what the book is about and give people feedback so that they can write their best story, and really hold their hand. And I know many publishers that I know. I'm not talking about you, Katie, but many other publishers I know. They never read the stories.
No, I know some that don't. I'm crying listening to you.
They never read the stories of their authors. They just send them to the editor. And I feel, no, someone actually signed up to work with me. And they need the time and they need the attention so that they can do and they can be proud of that story. Because so often, you write a story and when you go read it a week later, you think, oh my God, I can do so much better. So yes, it's fun, it is rewarding, it is joyful, and I love every minute of it. And I absolutely love being on beautiful podcasts like yours, Katie, so I can tell my story and inspire more and more people to write theirs and share it with the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dina. I am literally, I've got tears pouring. You can't see with my dark glasses, but I've got tears because I feel like that about publishing as well, and about the people that the souls that are coming into these collaborations. To me, they're not just books. There is a spiritual journey on the path of these books. The ones that I can feel yours, and the ones that I create anyway. So thank you so much. Can't wait for the launch and to celebrate with you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
You're very welcome. Bye for now.
Bye.
So ask yourself, is this for me? Give yourself some boundaries. Learn to trust your intuition now.
Thanks for listening to the Soulful Valley podcast. I trust that you will have heard something today that you were ready to hear, and that it's made you feel a little lighter, more aligned and connected with your soul's purpose, and you have been reminded of who you really are and the true nature of the power that you hold within you. My aim for this podcast is to bring love, light, wisdom, raise consciousness and ease suffering. If you've enjoyed the show, go back and listen to some of the back catalogue of previous episodes. Subscribe, follow, rate and review so that you're notified when new episodes drop in, and share this podcast with anyone that you think it may help to listen to. You can connect with me at soulfulvalley.com, and if you scroll to the bottom of the website, there are links to my social media platforms.